Alright, so you like Toy Story, right? Toy Story, simple story about what if toys were alive and then they have to cope with change in an interesting way. And then, Disney saw how well Toy Story did, and, they made other movies like Finding Nemo and The Incredibles and Bug's Life, all movies I grew up with. And then they decided to make a movie about talking cars. So, right off the bat, I think there's a flaw with this concept. Because children love superheroes, right? And adults can relate to The Incredibles on a deeper level. Brad Bird wrote them after himself. Like, the entire argument over, if Dash should be, graduating to the 5th grade was based off of a real argument he had with his wife. All kids fear getting lost, and the movie's about fish. Finding Nemo is pretty much appealing to everyone. And it's simple enough that your dumb baby brain can understand it. And I'm not saying children can't handle complex stories, it's just the only people who would find a story about talking cars appealing are people who want to fuck their Ferraris. And I am completely serious when I say that, because these cars basically act like humans, and, the problem with that is that the fact that they're cars holds very little significance over the plot, right? In Finding Nemo, it's all about, being a fish out of water, right? The Incredibles is about, one of the main conflicts is, about superpowers. Toy Story is about what place toys hold in a child's life. But cars, they're just basically people with car skin. And I'm going to do something different than what I typically do in my reviews, and instead of listing off all the things I don't like, I'm going to try to recount the plot as best as I can. So, we start off with this scene with Lightning McQueen talking to himself. Now, I could make fun of the I am Speed thing, because, Pixar makes fun of it. Everyone does. They make fun of it so much that in both sequels, they have lines making fun of us. And yeah, it is a stupid line, but I'd much rather focus on the fact that this film is about NASCAR. Yeah, that's right, NASCAR, that thing that went out of style in the 1990s. This film came out in 2006, and the movie's about NASCAR. And I think that's a problem because, I have no idea what the rules of NASCAR are, and the other two films kind of explain it better and make the races more visually appealing, but in this movie, you're just watching NASCAR and expected to know the rules of NASCAR. And it's not like a critique of NASCAR like Talladega Nights. No, it's just NASCAR. It's weird. Anyway, so we get introduced to Lightning McQueen, and he loves racing. He's a speedy boy. And, we get this really intense scene where he almost crashes, and because he's too arrogant to get a pit stop, he barely is able to catch up with his other rivals with his tongue. Now, I'm going to take this moment to talk about his rivals, because there's King, who gets no development, and basically all you learn about him is that he's old and has respect for the old ways and doesn't really like Lightning McQueen because Lightning McQueen's kind of an asshole.
Bet you're stupid.
Okay. And then you have Chick Hicks, who is the greatest character, and when I say this, I mean the greatest character Pixar has ever made. He basically is exactly like Lightning McQueen, arrogant, full of himself, loves fame, but, he also dials it up to 11. He is such an asshole. All of his, everyone in his pit stop crew has the exact same mustache he has. He purposefully hits the elderly in order to win. He's the car version of Wario, and I am here for it. And my only complaint about this character is that he's not in more Cars movies. So, yeah, King scolds Lightning McQueen for being a dick, and Lightning McQueen finds out he didn't win the race, and he has to do sponsorship with Rusty's. Now, here's where I bring up something. Alright, so in the second movie, there's this secret plot by, disabled cars. I'm not going to call them lemons, because I think lemons is supposed to be a slur in this world. Anyway, so these disabled cars try to take over the world, and it's explained that disabled cars are like that. So, Lightning McQueen is sponsored by these people who help rusted cars, and he really hates rusted cars. And these rusted cars fall apart. Sort of like lepers. So I assume that he is taking an ad break from people who help leprosy, and he doesn't like leprosy and thinks it's icky and gross. But all the leprosy people love him because they think he's their guy. They're like, yeah, you know what? The world screwed us over, but you won't, Lightning McQueen. Ka-chow. And Lightning McQueen's like, oh god, I really, really hate lepers. And leaves. And, I mean, I like this scene, but I think it goes too far. The movie tries so hard to convince us at the end that Lightning McQueen has changed. But, well, it'd be okay to make him douchey in the beginning, but not evil, you know? What if there was a scene where, like, say, like, one of his friends had car leprosy, and even though he doesn't really understand it and thinks it's gross deep down, he just wants to help it because deep down he thinks he can help people like his car friend. I don't know. Like, and if you're saying that's too dark for a Pixar movie, well, this is also a company that animated a guy getting fucking blown up in an airplane turbine. I think car leprosy is, enough. Anyway, so they drive to California. Alright, and I'm thinking too deep into this. Anyway, they're driving to California, and Lightning McQueen is, like, being a dick to his coworker, which is fine, because this movie's trying to convince us that he's a douche. Like, he's like, oh, well, he's like, hey, McQueen, I want to sleep, and Lightning McQueen's like, no, bitch, keep driving, and Mac's like, dude, please, I'm gonna fall asleep. And then Lightning McQueen's like, it's okay, I'll stay up all night. And then he goes to sleep. It's a cool scene, I like it. And then anyway, I'm not joking when I say, then these racially coded gangstas come up out of nowhere wearing car drip and convince Mac to go to sleep. That's right, the only reason why Lightning McQueen ends up in Radiator Springs is because of these racially coded Latino cars put Mac to sleep. Yeah, this film hasn't aged well at all, you know. So anyway, Lightning McQueen realizes that he's lost and then ends up causing a ruckus. And then, you know, the cop car is introduced, and actually he's one of my favorite characters because, you know, he sees Lightning McQueen driving slightly above average. He's like, not in my town. And he drives behind him, and Lightning McQueen's like, oh shit, he's shooting at me because he's farting. He's car farting. And then, like, Lightning McQueen causes a ruckus and destroys the town. And then everyone doesn't like him. And then, you know, he wakes up, and we're introduced to Larry the Cable Guy. And Mater's like, hey, Lightning, you ruined the town. And I gotta be real, because I'm going to be covering the entire Cars trilogy. Mater is at his best when he is a side character. And this movie does that well. Like, you know, he's a guy who hasn't seen much of the world, so when this guy who comes from out of town comes, he's overjoyed. He's like, hey, well, I haven't seen most of the world. Like, bro, I don't care that you ruined our town, and, like, want to hang out? Like, I don't know. Like, it's weird that they didn't touch upon that in other movies, but anyway, he goes to car court. Lightning McQueen, like, sexually harasses this one lady who turns out to be, a lawyer against him. And then, instead of going to prison or contacting any local authority, they just tell him to fix the road. And Lightning McQueen doesn't even think of, like, here's the thing that bothers me. He's a famous race car. His face is on billboards, right? Why doesn't he think of, I don't know, calling his PR team? Like, yeah, sure, they're in bumfuck nowhere, but, like, they still have phones, don't they? Like, yeah. So why doesn't he just call his team to rescue him? Like, I get that it would undermine his entire arc, but he acts like there is literally nothing he could do to get away from this town except drive away. And that's exactly what he tries to do, and then he comes back after, you know, Doc says, you're a big meanie. And by the way, need to mention this, Doc is the other best character in this film. Even though he is the stereotypical grandpa who doesn't really want to help you, you get the sense that he's, well, really knows a lot more than he lets on. One of the best characters in the entire series, even though he's only in one movie. And then Lightning McQueen shittily fixes the road, and then everyone's like, no dude, redo the road. And he's like, fuck, I gotta redo the road. And then we get to the scene, like the road racing scene, where Doc's like, hey, well, if I win, you get to redo the road you did, you damn whippersnapper. And Lightning McQueen's like, I lost the race because of you. Anyway, whatever. We'll get to that in the next movie. And so, essentially, Lightning McQueen doesn't understand that he can't race on dirt that well, which is pretty... It's like, you know in, like, DBZ, when Goku and Krillin first get, like, the weighted training, shells? How they need to relearn how to do everything? Honestly, the dirt race should have been used way more than it actually was in this film, because we see Lightning McQueen race on it all the time, and it only comes up once at the final race, which is cool and all, but like, I just wish they did more with it. It just seems like in Cars 2 they have like these dirt tracks, and in Cars 3 they learn entirely how to race outside. So honestly, it's kind of underutilized in this film compared to the others, which, you know, it's kind of hard to believe that I'm giving props to Cars 2 above Cars 1, but yeah, I am. Lightning McQueen plagiarizes Muhammad Ali.
I'm speed. Float like a Cadillac, sting like a Beamer.
Crashes. And then Doc laughs at him, and Lightning McQueen redoes the road. And Mater's all like, hey, friendo, wanna go scare cows? Which is, you know, I guess, like, I don't know. You know what, any rural people out there, do you go out with your friends to scare cows? I feel like that's a dangerous activity. Anyway, Mater and Lightning McQueen do stuff, and then this scene happens where, like, Sally's like, you know, you shouldn't be that way, and then Lightning McQueen's like, thank you. And then she's all like, you know, she sees this guy who, like, you know, basically, like, humiliated her in front of all of her colleagues, and instead of thinking, wow, maybe that guy can change, she, like, instantly falls for him, like that. She's like, oh wow, he does care about me. He is a good person. Sally is the worst character in these entire movies, because she's just stereotypical. There's nothing to her aside from, you know, she gets wooed over by an asshole saying thank you. Not even being a good person, just saying thank you. Because in this point in the movie, Lightning McQueen is still very much an arrogant prick. He's just slightly more humble. So anyway, he like fixes the road and stuff, and then you know they then Sally and Lightning McQueen go on their date, and she explains that she was here for 40 years.
Look, and they're driving right by. They don't even know what they're missing.
Well, it didn't used to be that way.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. 40 years ago, that interstate down there didn't exist.
That's right. Lightning McQueen is into MILFs. They explained that, like, Radiator Springs went off the map because no one's there anymore, and it's really sad and touching, and blah, 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 blah. And I have a problem with this plot line because, well, I mean, if the movie was more about the town and less about Lightning McQueen's racing career, this would be more touching. But for the first 15 minutes, we learn all this useless information about Lightning McQueen, Chick Hicks, and King. And if the movie is trying to convince us that it is about this small rural town, it didn't really do a good job, because it spent most of its runtime saying, oh wow, isn't racing cool? Lightning McQueen cares for the car lepers. Yeah, I think this scene failed. Anyway, Lightning McQueen's like, oh no, they lost the race because of the interstate. Cars 2's a mess. Anyway, so then Lightning McQueen tries to talk to Doc to get him to race better, and then this is the dumbest plot line ever. So he realizes that Doc is the Hudson Hornet, and this is really, really, really stupid, because he acts like the Hudson Hornet is like about as famous to racing as Muhammad Ali was to boxing, which kind of comes out of left field. Now, if earlier in the movie he said to the press, yeah, I'm really trying to, I think I might be the new Hudson Hornet or something like that, or like one of the press people say, wow, your career's coming awfully close to that of the Hudson Hornet. How do you think you would fare? And then he said, please, I don't care about old timers or whatever. But like, it comes out of nowhere because it's expected to be a reveal and we have no clue who the fucking Hudson Hornet is. And he's all like, yep, I won plenty of cups in my day, but they mean nothing. And that is actually pretty cool. Again, why he's my favorite character. You know, and if the movie stayed with the message that racing is about the race and not the money, I mean, they kind of throw that concept out in this movie. Because, you know, I'll get to it in the other reviews. But, you know, that might be really cool. Then Lightning McQueen would kind of translate into the guy fighting for the underdogs. You know? Like fighting for the lepers, fighting for Radiator Springs, you know? Which this movie doesn't really even touch upon. He just... Anyway, he gets a new paint job and whatever. Fixes the lights somehow, which... Wait a minute. I mean, that doesn't really make sense, right? How do car mechanics work? Would that be like a car doctor? Would a car electrician... Like, because they've all, like, run on some form of electricity, right? Would that be like all of your technology running on blood? I don't know. I'm thinking too deep into it. Anyway, he fixes up the town. He looks spiffy as hell. And then, like, everyone's happy for him. And here's the time where I need to mention... Alright, I know this is going to sound like the preachy social justice shit you've heard from every single trans woman on Twitter. Alright? But, alright. Why is it that the only black character in this entire movie has highlighted lips? Don't even give me the whole it's supposed to be lipstick shit. Cause like, the silver on her lips is on the rest of her body. It's meaning it's skin colored. Yeah. Anyway, the press comes and then they take away Lightning McQueen and then his boss is all like,
I'm over here.
How you doing, buddy?
My star client disappears off the face of the earth? How do you think I'm doing?
Harv, I can explain.
I'm doing great! You're everywhere, baby. Radio, TV, the papers. You can't buy this kind of publicity.
His boss is actually, like, his manager, who we never see, is actually one of the, has funny lines. But, like, then it's revealed that old tsundere grandpa, Doc Hudson, called it, and it was all like, whatever, I called them in because he was an annoying little shit. And then Mater is all like, I didn't even get to say goodbye. And it's Lightning McQueen goes to the race, and it's revealed that only Chick Hicks, him, and Doc will be racing. And everyone's like, oh, this race is super cool. And they focus on the scene for way too long. Lightning McQueen's sad because he liked his friends, even though he didn't really change at all. Like, I don't know, like, that's kind of the problem with Lightning McQueen's arc in this movie. He starts off way too harsh. He, you know, belittles the elderly, treats his pit crew like they're garbage, he thinks lepers are subhuman, he overworks his workers, and he treats a small rural community like they mean nothing. Like, Lightning McQueen is not a good person. And by the end of this film, what has he learned? To be nice to the elderly, and that friends are good, actually. This is what I mean with, like, the whole Rusty's thing. If they just toned it down a little, this arc would have been a lot better. Or if this movie was longer, like, say, in The Prince of Egypt or Ten Commandments, they're basically the same story. Moses starts out as an unlikable rich dick. Like, he hates the Jewish, he constantly spits on their culture, he hates he treats the slaves like shit. He's kind of like, basically the type of person you would expect to, like, I don't know, you'd want to punch in the face. Not a cool dude. But by the end of the film, he's changed. he really did grow into God's chosen one. Well, not chosen one, but like the leader of God's chosen people. He helped them escape tyranny and oppression, and he's pretty much paid up for all of his crimes by the end of it. By saving them, he has really done a right strong enough to, counteract all the wrongs he did. But Lightning McQueen doesn't. He doesn't, say, and anyway, all the money I get will be going to rusted cars charities or whatever. He just sort of learns to be slightly nicer, and this fits in the rest of his movies, because in the rest of the movies, Lightning McQueen is still an asshole. He's still mean. He's still he lost the race because of you. He's just a dick. And yeah, he's a happy dick, but he went from Dio Brando to Dio Brando as a kid. You know what I mean? He should have went from Dio to Sonic, and he doesn't really until the third film. So anyway, Lightning McQueen's really sad, and Chick Hicks continues to be the only reason why I continue to watch the race scenes. Which, again, if this movie's trying to convince me that it's about Radiator Springs, it failed. Because 20% of this movie is set on races, and only, that's way too much for a subplot. If it was 15%, you'd accept that, okay, this is something Lightning McQueen does, it's something important to him. But 20% is too much. Did we really need the scene where Lightning McQueen gets flashed by his fans? Did we really need the scene where a bunch of car crashes happen? Did we really need the 3-minute long race scene at the beginning of the movie that was put in all the trailers? No. It's filler. But anyway, Lightning McQueen feels real sad, and Doc Hornet's all float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. And Lightning McQueen's oh my god, Doc Senpai, you're here. And he's that's right, kid. And Mater says something really adorable, and just shows that he is the most wholesome and lovable character in this entire movie, and that his entire reputation will be ruined by Disney. But he's a good boy now. So anyway, Lightning McQueen, uses some of his techniques, like the scene where he gets knocked onto the grass and uses Doc Hudson's move is a really cool scene, and the only scene where dirt racing comes back, which I feel like dirt racing would have been more impactful if, say, there was a malfunction, or say Chick Hicks accidentally kicked up dirt onto the asphalt or something. So Doc, say King, slips out because he doesn't know how to race on it. But Lightning McQueen's all ha, I know this. And it's little. Lightning McQueen, Chick Hicks wins the race because Chick Hicks beat up Doc. And Lightning McQueen's hey, that's a dick move. And then King's wait, are you still an asshole, young whippersnapper? And Lightning McQueen's no, because that wasn't very ka-chow of me. And then, everyone doesn't like Chick Hicks, even though, I gotta be real, there are athletes who do way worse shit than him and still have fan bases. Yeah, Kobe Bryant, God rest his soul, but wasn't a terribly nice guy. Mike Tyson still has a fan base, and we all know what he did. I'm just saying. I feel like Chick Hicks' career shouldn't have been over after he won the Piston Cup. And so, yeah, honestly, that was Cars. Mater gets to fly in the helicopter, Lightning McQueen stays with Rusty's, and yeah. And, well, the problems here are that, well, most of the characters in Radiator Springs aren't characters but caricatures. I already talked about how Flo is just, white guys riding a black woman. Haha. The one Latino guy is into spray painting cars. Real classy, Pixar. Yeah. The old lady is old. The red fire truck is Android 16. There's nothing likable or memorable about most of these characters. Even Sally, who is a love interest, is forgettable and dull because she doesn't have an arc. She's still as confident and assured of herself as she was in the beginning, And maybe if this movie focused on Lightning and Sally's relationship about as much as it focuses on him and Mater's, then I don't know, maybe they would have actually been a good couple, and it wouldn't feel like, you know, she fell for the most shallow guy imaginable who just said thank you. You know, like, I don't know, girl, have some standards. Like, you know, what if she helped him become a better person? Like, and I know that plays into stereotypes, but like, I don't know. Or what if her helping him made her realize problems that she has? Like, it doesn't, again, and I feel like this could be focused on if you cut back on, well, focusing on the dumb town subplot. By the way, I love Luigi and Guido, but like, come on. Every single line out of their mouth is, Mamma mia, pizza pasta, Italy. Ooh, a Ferrari. Ooh, the meatball. I might as well just turn on the Super Mario Brothers Super Show and listen to their lines about pasta.
And if you do drugs, you go to hell before you die. Please.
And I mean, in the second movie, they get some development, but not much. And I mean, I like that Guido has that one scene where he does a pit stop the fastest in history, which, I mean, yeah, but anyway. I gotta be real. There's only like 5 characters I like in this film, and 2 of them are I like because of how much of assholes they are. Like, yeah, I wouldn't recommend watching this. This feels like, well, a first draft. You know, like Pixar was scrambling for ideas, and they're just like, shit. The Disney execs want us to put something on the air. What do we have? And then someone just like drew a picture of Lightning McQueen, and they're like, genius! And then they went over to Disney, and Disney's like, oh my god, we're going to smoke weed with this money. And, you know, they made it. It doesn't really feel fleshed out at all. You know, there's no 3-dimensional characters. All the characters are just kind of shallow. And I mean, I feel like this movie wouldn't be as hated because it's not even really that bad. Like, if this came out of DreamWorks, you know, people would say, oh, okay, that's alright. But since this comes out of Pixar, everyone's all like, no, it's terrible. And that's just because Pixar is known for having really good shit, except for you. Overall, they're known for being better than this. This feels like something Disney would release in the 80s. You know, shallow characters and meaningless. And yeah, but anyway, the next movie I hope to cover is Cars 2, if all goes according to plan. And honestly, I'm going to lose my mind because Cars 2 is so heinously fucking awful, I think I might die. So anyway, if you liked this video, like, comment, subscribe, and look at my other videos where they aren't as long or in depth as this one. Go watch my Pokemon Emerald Nuzlocke. Even though the videos are long, I guarantee they're funny. And if you like my Kiyoya voice, I accidentally use it a lot because, yeah. So anyway, Trotsky the Crusader, have a good day. Bye-bye.